You're listening to the Known Legacy Podcast, brought to you by Known Legacy Ministries. For more information, go to knownlegacy.org. Now here's your hosts, Bill and Travis.
Top of the morning to you, Bill.
Oh, good morning. How are you?
I feel like we just started and ended a podcast 2 seconds ago.
That's awesome. Hey, guys, welcome to the Known Legacy Podcast, where we want you to wake up,
gear
up,
up,
and come alive to who God has called you to be. We are so glad you're here, and we believe God has something for you on purpose today to hear this specific message. So,
as always, check us out on Instagram, Facebook. There's a few different Facebook groups out there we encourage you to be part of. YouTube, if you were so inclined to sit down at the computer and watch our mugs, have these conversations. We'd love to have you share it, like it, and if you want to, go to the website, make a donation if that's so inclined, and grab Bill's book, More Than You, and see what God is doing to that. So, Bill, tell us a little bit about Known Legacy and what we're doing
So we've
now.
got a couple things coming up, guys. We're going to consistently do more at Known Legacy. We just had a great golf, top golf night.
Yes.
Great amount of guys came out. So I want you to join what we're doing. One of the ways you can start right now is there's these moments in our life where, like, we don't know where we are as children of God. What are we doing, God? What are you doing with my life? I feel like I've kind of been trudging through. We have something just for you. It's a 7-day wake-up guide and spiritual reset. So it's a wake-up guide and 7-day spiritual reset that we have for you for free that we have developed. The link is provided below in the session notes, as well as we have a Known Legacy Brotherhood on Facebook, or as old people would say, the Facebooks. And so if you still have a Facebook page and you don't use it at all, click the link below. Join our brotherhood. It's a great place to be encouraged, to hear some truth, to get some truth every day, to be encouraged, as well as every Thursday morning at 6:45. We have a men's adrenaline shot study that we've partnered with Soldiers for Faith.
Yes.
And it is on the phone, so it is wherever you are. If you're in the car, if you're just getting to your job, if you need to be encouraged, if you're ironing your boxers, I don't care, whatever you are, no one sees you.
Does anyone iron their boxers anymore?
I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know. Did anyone ever iron their boxers?
No,
but anyways, join that. The link will be below. We just want you to stay connected. And so we have some great opportunities for you, but super excited to get into our conversation today with Brian.
I love it. Kyle, how you doing? Producer Kyle in the corner.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. So here's the question of the day.
Question of the day.
It is summer, or just on the cusp of summer. I don't know when this is going to be released, but it is full-time summer, and I loved summertime when I was a kid growing up. Absolutely.
Summertime.
Loved the time of the pool. Loved the time waking up, watching Wheel of Fortune, leaving the basement at like 11 o'clock, playing with my friends. So what is your classic vintage, that's the cool word today, vintage treat of summer? What was your vintage treat of summer? Bill, you go first.
Go first. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say, man, you remember when you'd be riding your bikes all day? You drink from like the garden hose, but in New York it was cool.
Yes.
It wasn't like 900 degrees like it is here. and you could actually drink out of it, that kind of stuff. But I remember in the afternoon we would go inside, and in the freezer were ice pops made of like Kool-Aid in those Tupperware containers, and you would just I would have like a dozen of them a day, whatever. They were so good,
and they were so icy, and they were like yes,
they were perfect. And so I still remember. In fact, as we were cleaning out my mom's stuff, I saw them, the old tray, and I almost wanted to like grab some and fill it up.
Did you not?
I probably need to. Well, it was the middle of winter, so I wasn't that worried.
All right.
But I think I need to do it. So yeah, ice pops, Tupperware ice pops.
So I was a good friend of mine, Chris Dyer, just got new knees. Chris, if you're listening, good job on that.
That just defined our age. Just got new knees.
He was a golfer, and he'd take me out golfing with him sometimes, and he introduced me to frozen Snickers. Now, this isn't the ice cream Snicker bar, that you can go buy. This is like a legit Snicker bar.
Snickers.
You throw it in the freezer, and it is, for me, defining like those junior high years vintage treats where that caramel is like hard. You gotta break it off, snap it off. And it's got peanuts, so it's healthy.
So it's healthy. What about you, Kyle? What about you?
We would always raid my grandmother's house that lived close by, and she had two things: creamsicles and push-ups.
Push-ups.
Yeah, push-up pops.
Push-ups.
Flintstone push-up pops. Yeah. I remember those.
And remember how nasty the top rim of that cardboard would get when you're just like,
and drip down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude, awesome. I know what I'm getting on the way home. I'm getting some push-up pops, and I'm going to bring it home, and my kids are going to look at me and go, what
is wrong with you?
Did you bring into this house? So
that's awesome.
Anyways, I do want to introduce our guest today.
Yes.
Like I said, this is part 2. If you haven't heard part 1, I'd encourage you to go back and do that. He is an author. He's a speaker. He is also a consultant for any number of nonprofits and C-suite leaders. And so we're going to dive into that book that he just wrote, Igniting the Powder Keg, and talk about leadership and how we as guys, whether we are in a second chair role or a first chair role, what that means for us and what we can do with leadership. So, Brian Becker, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm doing the fake clap like it's. You can kind of see it.
I saw that.
Like that?
It was inspiring. I'm inspired. So, Brian, what's the question of the day? What is your vintage go-to summertime treat?
Oh, God, I was just enjoying you guys talking about all those things, and you're hilarious, and it made me think. I remember sitting on the back porch with my dad and my big brother, cranking the homemade ice cream.
Oh yeah.
This is before the days of the plug-in, and we would put the rock salt in there.
Yes.
The raw eggs, which you shouldn't eat raw eggs. We always had raw eggs, and we would crank that thing.
Rocky ate raw eggs.
And then enjoy that homemade ice cream. It was the best.
We did that like twice as a family, and the amount of ice cream was so pathetically small. And we was a family of 6, and so it was like a tablespoon each. And we're like, we just invested like an hour of our lives into this moment with all the anticipation, and then it's like, take and eat 1 little tablespoon of vanilla ice cream.
And I hate vanilla, so it's so disappointing. Like my life is terrible.
But I love
ours was a gallon bucket. So I mean, there's a lot of ice cream.
That's amazing.
We obviously went the Kmart way instead of the
another
amazing.
Throwback.
Yeah, I know. Back
Rest in
the day.
peace, Kmart.
So, anyways, so happy you guys are here. So, Brian, you've just released a book. It's called Ignite the Powder Keg, and it's designed to help figure out how to effectively work and release the power of boards of directors, particularly when it comes to nonprofits. Mm-hmm. Could you tell us a little bit about that book and like the journey, like why write that book? Because it's kind of a cottage thing. It's not like going to be mass for the masses. It's not going to make the Oprah Winfrey read list. Right. But I think it's a hugely helpful book.
Yeah.
And it's needed. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
So about almost 20 years of my life, I worked in 2 different nonprofits, leadership positions, interaction with the board of directors, and then the other half of my adult life, I've been self-employed consultant, executive coach, primarily working with boards on planning, board development, strategy, culture, leadership, that sort of thing. And in the recent years, a couple of things. I kept hearing the executive directors or the senior pastor or the principal or whatever saying things like, I go to these board meetings and there's all these influential people sitting around the table. They've got connections. They're entrepreneurs. Some of them are very wealthy. They have this like power, and it's like a powder keg, and I can't reach the fuse.
Yes.
How do I engage them? And so the last couple of years, I started thinking a lot about what of the most effective boards that I've worked with, what are they doing? What are those handful of things that they're doing, best practices and governance and things like that? And I put it together in a book, and it actually just hit the stand April 30th. So it's brand new.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yes.
Great reviews. And it's not a textbook, not theory. It's on the lines of like Patrick Lencioni, who writes these fables.
Yep.
And so it's a conversation between a brand new nonprofit CEO who has program experience, but never managing up to the board, and someone who's just retired from another organization. And they agree to meet over a period of weeks and months. And they talk about engagement, governance, fundraising, culture, getting people off the board that are like dead weight. And so anyhow, it ends up.
Is that a real thing?
Oh, yes.
So it ends up at the very end of their conversation, she presents him with this book of like notes that she's taken. And she said, this really fit into like 7 categories. We didn't realize it when we were talking about it because they had 15 meetings or whatever.
Right.
And so anyhow, it's these 7 keys for nonprofit board engagement, almost none of which cost anything, but it's a matter of, will the board be intentional about improving itself? And that affects that can affect the life of the director, their CEO, or whatever you call that, because they're already running the organization. Think of like an hourglass, guys, where the aperture is where that CEO sits. What's below is all the programming, the people, the volunteers, the fundraising. But what's above that is the governance and the leadership of the board. And so literally you're missing 50% of the power of the organization if you're not really engaging the board properly.
Man, even as I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, what are some of the major hurdles or big, I guess I'd say blocks to that you've noticed over the course of looking at all these different boards? What's some major weaknesses or places that they need to grow?
Yeah. First is many boards, like the Boys and Girls Club is legally by the IRS, 501c3. Many churches are 501c3s. So the boards think that they're volunteers, and they don't realize that they're actually legally fiduciaries of the organization. And they've never had any training on the fact that they don't own the church. They don't own, the mission of the Boys and Girls Club or 5-2 or whatever, but they're responsible for it. They have a duty of responsibility and duty around those things. So one is helping them understand that they own and they have to protect and advance the mission. So there's a handful of others. One is like that they're responsible for strengthening themselves. So how do they go about doing that? And a lot of directors or senior pastors or whatever, they're like, my day is so full. Right. If I want to do that, I have to carve out time in order to change all of that. And what they don't realize is it's the short-term pain, long-term gain.
Correct.
And if they're willing to do that work, you can literally transform the board, not overnight, but over a period of a couple of years. I've had some experience. I've also served on, I think, 5 or 6 different nonprofit boards. So I've seen that happen in good and bad ways from the other side, from not being a consultant, but being on the board.
Well, and I think that's one of the questions that I would love to drill down a little bit with you is some of us are in positions of leadership and some of us are in that second chair. And you work a lot with guys that are in that position, that first chair leadership. What would you tell the guy in the second chair to help them understand the unique journey of the guy in the first chair? Whether it be in the board of directors, whether it be on staff or whatever. Because I think a lot of times the guy in the second chair will look at the first guy and have contempt for him because he's not doing X, Y, or Z or whatever else because of their small picture of the puzzle. And what would you just tell that guy in the second chair to encourage him and say, hey, here's what you don't understand that you need to understand about what that first chair entails?
By the way, for more than 10 years, I was the second chair guy at Wheatridge Ministries. Okay. And so I totally understand that because there's ego and desire and how much can you push or support your boss and still not get in the way and make sure that you're not circumventing and undermining his or her responsibility and authority. So it's like a governor on a motor, how much can you be a help? As a second chair leader, it's really probably not in your governance to be involved with the board that much. Yet you can be a great help in helping support the systems that go on around that. Like, hey, if we're going to recruit differently, how can I help you put different systems in place that will allow you to be more effective at recruiting? If you're wanting to change the culture of the board from a non-giving board to a giving board, how can I be supportive around these ways that we put systems or policy in place that I can help support on the tactical side? Because if you think of let's go back to the hourglass again, 3 layers. You have conceptual, you have strategic, and then you have the tactical. The boards almost never dig down into the tactical. That's what the 2 guys is for. So how can you be the handoff to help that get traction on the tactical level?
I love it.
It makes me think about what are the, if you could gunshot, what are some of the main points to strengthen in that? What are some of the things that you're looking at? How would you go between that board to that number 2 guy? What are some things that those board members can do to support that guy? What are some? key tools.
Yeah. So one of the most important things is that the chair of the board and the CEO, let's just use that phrase, what executive director, whatever, they need to spend time together, either on the phone, having coffee, on Zoom, whatever, between meetings. They need to be on the same page on mission, values. Gotcha. They need to be aligned. What are the most important strategic issues? And we got to make sure that those things get on the agenda. And who's going to lead that conversation at the next board meeting? And how are we going to make sure that there's accountability and follow-up? Way too many boards have all this talent, but they're passive. And they sit and listen and they nod and they go, good job. And then as the CEO, you're like going, why did we have a board meeting?
Right. Yes.
It took me 2 weeks to prepare for the board meeting, and they didn't change. They just were informed. So that's why some CEOs don't want to dive into engaging the board at a higher level. They're yet not seeing the value of it. But by the way, if there's one thing that I would encourage every board to do, it's change the way that you recruit.
Ooh, talk some about that.
So most even in big corporate organizations, some of them recruit like room parents at the local school. Like, who do you know? Who has a pulse? Who will say yes? And they look at their own Google contact list. Well, I've got 800 people on my Google contact list. I can't think about that. But if I were to say, so you don't start with the question who, you start with the question what. What do we need most next? What qualities, what character, what experiences do we need most next? Then if we're looking like, we need deep pockets, or we need somebody with social media, or we need somebody with AI or legal, then my 800 list narrows down to about 20.
Right.
I can think about 20. And if I can get every board member to do that with their contact list, then we do think of it like a baseball team. They don't wait till the catcher goes lame and then looks for another catcher on the pros.
Right.
They constantly have a list of 5 or 6 deep that they're going to go to if they need. And so my best clients, they have a top secret list, deep bench, they call it, deep bench of potential future board members.
Interesting.
Where they've thought about the what. Travis would be great in that position. Bill would be great. Bill's not right yet, but let's put them on the list, invite them to events, make sure we have a relationship with them, make sure they see the power of, get them on the mailing list, maybe see if they start to donate on the annual fund. So it starts with what, then it goes to who, then it goes to how. And you want to bring them in by having someone ask them to join the board that they can't say no to.
Right.
If you really want them. So
it sounds like this blend of relationships and strategy together. And a lot of times it's just been strategy. Right. Hey, who do I know? And I need somebody now. We're just trying to fill holes. We're plugging up pieces of the ship before it sinks, versus now having the strategy go, okay, let's look down the road and have that. So proper planning and relationship, proximity, and that planning works together. So
by the way, the book has, at the end of it, it has a bunch of resources. And one of them is a simple matrix that a board could keep that has here's the skills we're looking for. Here's when people are terming out.
Right.
So we're going to have gaps. So how do we fill these? And so let's create that list of potential future people.
Yeah.
So let me bring it to the world of practicality for some of the guys that are listening here. Let's say many of the guys won't be on a board of directors, but the mission and ministry that they are involved in will be heavily impacted by that board of directors.
Yeah.
What would you tell a guy on a Sunday morning that's going to a church, is faithfully attending? How do they support and how do they also encourage this kind of high-level board involvement and catalyst?
If they are or are not on the board.
Are not.
If they are not on the board. Some people, their greatest gift is to be a connector.
Okay.
Some of them, they're influential, and so their voice can carry a lot of weight. Boards should speak with one voice. So if they have to make hard decisions that are controversial, we're going to cut the junior high out of the school because of finances, or we're going to add a daycare or whatever, and it's that they speak with one voice, and they don't peel each other off behind the scenes. No throwing any board members aren't throwing other board members under the bus ever. That's actually against their fiduciary duties.
It's funny. I keep thinking about churches like it's like hot dogs. So it's like I'll eat a hot dog at a ballpark. You just don't tell me what's in the hot dog.
Right.
And I think a lot of people in churches are eating the hot dog, but then when they get down to the core, they're finding the same filler, and they're not satisfied anymore. What would you say to someone who's jumping from churches or is using the excuse of, hey, I'm not going to go to church right now? I'm using church specifically, but that I'm not going to go to a church. What is something worth looking at for them to say it's willing to be here? What type of leadership should they be looking for to say this is the kind of church that I want to be at? Maybe not programs, because I've never seen someone go, you know what, my marriage has been saved because the worship was awesome on Sunday.
Right.
But I have heard them say, man, but this leader engaged the heart of my family and changed me. So what are some things, like even as we're wrapping up this conversation, what are some things you would look at as like a leader and say, these are the type of things you'd look at as a leader?
Well, interestingly, I just moved after 45 years of being in the same place, and I visited a bunch of churches, and I found a new church that was vacant for 2 years, believe it or not. And I was waiting, and then after a while, I'm wait a second. It's really not about the pastor.
Yep.
And I started to appreciate that the culture was being held by their what they call them, elders there, I guess, or board of directors or whatever. I'm new there, but as I was visiting, I'm like, things are still happening here. They're still caring for people. They're still facing outward, and they're still covering the budget. They're doing these important things that keep the church alive, regardless of who's preaching on Sunday. Yeah, I want to be a part, and they were interested in me. You have these skills in leadership. You have these musical skills. How can we engage you? And so they were the church, the pastor does play a vitally important role, yet the structure of the leadership and how they continue to support all of these other things that are done by volunteers mostly. So that's the keeper of the culture, if you will, the keeper of the values, that container that holds and guides all the other programmatic stuff that goes on. So I guess I would look for that, although a lot of people just want to be entertained when they,
Unfortunately, I think you're right. And I heard this a while back. Culture eats strategy for lunch.
Yeah.
And I think it's so true. And when you've had an effective community that has a good, healthy culture, it is a gem, and it is worth investing and sacrificing for sure, to be molded by that culture, to be changed and transformed. And I guess my call to you guys, as we kind of go into the Fast Five here in a second, is, gentlemen, be more than just a guy who rolls in 2 minutes before service starts and then leaves right when it, like, you have a chance to be a part of the culture, to define what it means to be someone who has eyes for the stranger, to connect with a stranger, who wants to build community beyond just that small 1 or 2 guys that you always go to, that you always talk football with or whatever, and make sure that other guys are getting brought into that culture. It is a high and holy thing. Pray for the guys that are in leadership. Pray for the guys that are on that and ladies that are on that board of directors. Be willing to serve if that's your calling, for sure. But then most importantly, be a culture agent within that church, because that's more important than anything else. That will outlive the pastor, and that'll outlive the board of directors for sure.
Yeah, I see that. I see that same thing, that even coming from ministry, the years that we've all been in ministry, if someone wants to get involved, to get to know and have a relationship, to start with that strong relationship, strong character of, hey, I want to get to know who you are. Man,
right.
Don't be afraid to step up, have a conversation with the pastor, have a conversation with the leaders, try to take them out. And if they push against relationship, I think that's what I'm hearing. If they push against relationship and they've just got their own thing, maybe you walk away. But then from there also, if you can't break that shell, but then also that's a great way to figure out who the character of those leaders by getting close to them. So proximity and and these kind of like relationships are huge. So any final thoughts before we jump into the Fast Five, Brian?
I was just thinking about how many younger guys are so hesitant to join a church, to volunteer, and they're a more like lack of willingness to thrive, and how when you do step forward and you do take the risk and are willing to, like, I'll show up and help, trim the bushes or whatever. It's like, oh, I got more out of this than they did. Step forward, be known. And you can't, thinking back to our past conversation, if you're not being fully yourself, you can't really authentically be in a leadership role.
Yes.
I mean, you can fake it, but people will see that. And so when you're really being yourself and letting your own gifts come to the surface, you have so much greater chance of being able to plug in a way that allows you to be effective at leading at the level you can.
Yeah, and if it's not the church, find a good nonprofit that you can be a part of.
Yeah.
They're always looking for good volunteers and guys to be champions of the culture.
Yeah.
So awesome. Thank you, Brian, for the great conversation. Thank you for the book. If you are involved in a nonprofit or if you're running one, highly recommend this book. Highly recommend.
Yeah.
I know you're always available to have conversations as well. So, good stuff.
Brian, how can they get a hold of you? I mean, we'll put the link for the book in the session notes, but how can they get a hold of you specifically?
Sure. The book is called Igniting the Powder Keg. You can go to ignitingthepowderkeg.com, or if you can't remember that, brianbecker.net. You'll go to the same webpage.
Okay, great. No, I get it.
You can contact Brian Becker at gmail.com. Contact Brian Becker at
Okay,
gmail.com.
we'll put all that in the session notes. If you want to connect with him, if you feel, if you're on a board or if you're on any kind of leadership team like that and you want to grow, Brian's a great guy to get connected to.
Absolutely.
I love his authenticity, his heart, the journey he's been through. If you haven't heard the first podcast, go back and listen because you'll get the character of this kind of guy in that. But, man, this has been a blessing. It's been great to have you on, my friend.
Thank you, guys.
Well, hey, so as we move in, we're going into our Fast Five.
Oh.
There we go. Are you ready for us, Brian?
High value production.
Okay.
No way, man. No way. Fast Five. Question number one. If you could support a cause or a ministry, who would you? Who would it be and why?
There are two places that are near and dear to my heart. One is called ANAR, A-N-A-R. I've been friends with the founder who grew up in Bethlehem, Palestine. I've been friends with him for 25 years, and they provide psychosocial counseling through the arts to children who are experiencing trauma. And there are many in the Middle East right now that are experiencing trauma. I was just last night. There's an organization that has started here in the States called Hope and Healing that supports their work in the Middle East as they do counseling and events for kids that have trauma. So that's ANAR. Very gut-wrenching stuff right now.
Wow.
On the much lighter side, Lutheran Summer Music is one of the finest faith-based high school music academies and festivals in the United States. It's a 4-week camp, orchestra, band, choir, organ, church music. Every morning they have chapel. Every evening they have chapel, infused with Lutheran liturgy and music, which a lot of kids don't know what liturgy is.
Yep.
And we were at Valpo for a number of years. This year, I was on the board a number of years ago. We're moving to St. Olaf for this next summer. And
beautiful campus.
A high school kid that's into music, they will find their people there. It's a very high quality of music and lessons and performances. So Lutheran Summer Music.
That's fantastic.
That's
Love
awesome.
it.
That's awesome. Okay, question number 2. If you could describe legacy in a word or phrase, what would it be?
I think of how a boat makes a wake. And I'm driving the boat. And so what's behind me? What will be behind me? That's legacy. If I'm not intentional about it, I'll just meander. And I don't want to meander. I want to be intentional about what the wake is like.
That's good.
I like it.
That's good.
I like it. If you could change careers, what would you change it to? If you had to change careers?
2 things come to mind. One, full-time musician, because I have this side thing that's such a passion for me. I have a master's degree in trumpet performance, and I do a lot of playing, and I just love doing that. The other is I've been really, particularly since COVID, I've been really kind of frustrated with the number of people who have retired young. They've earned it, that's fine. But the leadership vacuum now.
Yes.
People who were teachers, coaches, university presidents, we can all think of people like that, like, wow. I mean, I don't begrudge them wanting to retire, but that vacuum of so maybe if I could be part of an organization that encouraged all of these great leaders to come back in as mentors or teachers or volunteers to continue to have a leadership impact. The world
I wish that you were passionate about leadership. maybe your book will do something.
Not done yet.
Keep on trying.
There you go. There you go.
I love it because it does say that. I mean, your most impactful generation is 70 to 80, and then 60 to 70 are your two most impactful. And then from there, 50, it goes down. But like, it's amazing how many people. You're right. They shut down early, and they're like, I have nothing to offer. When in reality, that's 60, 70, 80 is what
more
the
to offer than you can even imagine.
Yes,
I love it.
For all the old guys out there, we believe in you because you're older than me, which makes me feel good.
Yes,
from a youngin'. So okay, this is a really controversial one.
Yes.
What is your go-to fruit?
Oh, everybody should have this. Grapes, red, seedless. That's it. Red, grapes, seedless.
We've never had a seedless grapes.
Okay, so is this the pure organic form, or has this been crushed and fermented over many, many months to produce a beautiful vintage? Or is it both? It can be both.
I do not need an organic grape because there's no research that says that non-organic grapes actually are worse for you than organic grapes. So
nice.
But I like the crushed fermented type as well. Nothing wrong with that. But I just like them out of the fridge.
That's my boy.
It goes great over a conversation. Actually, the fermented one in the fridge is really good too. Just so you know, I don't know. You can try that. Test that out today.
Both in the fridge, and then just try one after the other.
Yeah.
You know.
Let us know in the notes which one's more valuable. All right. Number 5. Who do you want to be remembered for by those closest to you?
Faithful, faith-filled, and I hope that they will say, Brian did what he said he was going to do, not because he had an ego or it positioned him well, but he did what he said he was going to do because it was just the right thing to do.
Oh, good stuff.
And that he's not done yet. And then lastly, here I always have this around here. So here's all the Beckers.
Oh, yes. That's cool.
And you know, if they listen to the first podcast, they will realize that if I hadn't been humbled, none of those pictures would have taken place with me in them. I would have been sitting in the back of the room.
Man,
you know, and now the relationship and the leadership work that I do with my son, I mean, that's just all there because of the grace of God and good people around me. So
good. Yeah.
Thank you, Brian, for your time. Thank you so much for your insights, wisdom, and for keeping on, as they say in the trucker world. And just appreciate your time, your wisdom. And I got about 5 guys I'm going to give that book to. And
only 5, huh?
Only 5. 3 of them on the Known Legacy board.
There we go, right here. I know we have to read that. No, we definitely will. We'll definitely.
I'll give you a discount code when we hang up here in a little bit.
That sounds good. I love it. I love it. Brian, this has been life-giving. Number 2, part 2 is awesome. If you hadn't heard part 1, go and check it out. You'll hear Brian's more intimate story and why he jumped into this leadership role. So, Brian, thank you so much for your time today. Guys, remember, click up the Wake Up Guide and 7-Day Reset below, the men's study, the men's group, as well as check out Brian down below. All those links are provided below. This has been another life-giving day. Travis, any final thoughts, my friend?
It's time to wake up, gear up, and come alive, boys. God bless.
Have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the Known Legacy Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. So email us your questions or comments to info@knownlegacy.org.